The girl lying on the ground painted red, realized that she had lost and now only death awaited her. Aedes, a demon from the highest demonic tribe in the world of demons, couldn't understand why she hesitated so much when the angel looked at her sincerely. After all, he was Ferdinand, the god of war. Aedes knew that now it was truly her end and she was willing to do anything to at least somehow destroy this angel. Over the last 120,000 years, Aedes had done many bad things and had become incredibly powerful, but she didn't understand why forgotten scenes from the past kept passing through her mind. Even though she was now one step away from death, Aedes thought it was crazy that he started to heal her. It seemed insane since they were enemies, but Ferdinand explained that he wanted to give her another chance. It sounded like a joke to Aedes. Ferdinand knew that she had been too focused on getting revenge on him her whole life, so he decided to give her a chance to atone for her sins and recover her own strength. However, Aidisa felt a strange sensation holding her arm and immediately got angry with Ferdinand for daring to do that to her. He warned her that if she did good deeds in the human world for just 1 year, she would be able to recover all her powers. But she had to remember that if she attacked someone with good intentions or didn't do good deeds, she would die in the most painful way possible. If Aedes succeeded, she would be reborn with holy powers, and Ferdinand would be awaiting her return. Aedes was really furious with him. After she disappeared, he held onto a small strand of her hair in his hand. The boy was confident that Aidisa would take care of everything. In the Lucerne Empire, where the priests debated about their long-awaited savior, the oracle had predicted that the savior would appear soon. Reno, the empire's archbishop, assured them that they just needed to wait a little longer. However, some of his assistants doubted his interpretation of the oracle's message, which displeased Reno. He warned them to be careful with their words, as the emperor also eagerly awaited the arrival. The archbishop then ordered everyone to recite the hymn they had sung yesterday, but the priests seemed to have forgotten it. He couldn't understand why, until a trembling priest pointed out a girl who had appeared. It was Aedes, the girl who had emerged from the fountain. Everyone was amazed and believed she was the saint they had been waiting for. However, Aedes looked weak and frail. Reno was both amazed and delighted that the long-awaited saint had finally arrived. Suddenly, Aedes fainted, causing all the priests, including Reno, to rush to her aid. Reno checked her pulse and realized that the holy maiden was probably fine. And she, too, initially had no idea who the people around her were. So she weakly explained to the priest that if they intended to finish her off, they should do it elegantly. Surprisingly, she then uttered a curse that shocked the priests, as it was believed that a pure girl like Lily could not swear. The Empire of Lucerne was blessed with abundant minerals, fertile land, and talented individuals. In the past, Lucerne was just a small country, but it prospered due to the blessing of Ferdinand, the god of war. People still believed that the emperor himself was sent by God to bring peace and prosperity to the empire. The great holy woman had been sent to earth a long time ago, and everyone had been eagerly awaiting her return. As the emperor gazed at Aedes lying on the bed in her white robe, he realized that she was truly a beauty. Reno was taken aback by the emperor's praise for the holy maiden. It was well known that the emperor was not one to easily express admiration. The emperor himself was surprised to hear such words from Reno, as he was not an insensitive monster who failed to appreciate beauty. Reno, however, acknowledged that the emperor had always been somewhat insensitive. He pondered the fact that their emperor had recently turned 26, and his name was Rhydon Sigerion. Despite his handsome appearance, the emperor's true personality remained a mystery to everyone in the empire. The bishop told the emperor that he had seen the girl emerge from the divine fountain with his own eyes. Rhydon stated that it was nonsense. Reno, feeling agitated, checked if anyone had heard the potentially blasphemous phrase. Rhydon thought it would be foolish of God to send such a beautiful lady to their land and not keep her. Reno coughed and clarified to the emperor that it wasn't about her beauty. The bishop realized that Rhydon was behaving strangely, as the emperor had a strange sense of curiosity. Reno wondered why Rhydon was so interested in the girl. He wondered if it's due to Miss Saintis, who was supposed to be his wife, but stopped himself, realizing his thoughts were foolish and he wouldn't understand Rhydon. Aedes began to wake up, which the bishop noticed immediately. The first person she saw was Rhydon. When Aedes caught a glimpse of his face, it dawned on him that Ferdinand had accomplished what he desired. This infuriated her greatly, and she tries to strike Raiden. However, she was unable to do so. Instead, she embraced him. Aedes couldn't fathom why she hugged Raiden, and the gesture perplexed him as well. Raiden inquires if she can't speak. Reno then stated that she seems to want to convey the will of God, but is unable to. Aedes recalled Ferdinand and how he cursed her. It appeared that he had cast a spell on her, preventing her from uttering any profanity towards anyone. She found it despicable. Suddenly Raiden embraced her, questioning if she's planning something. This piqued Raiden's interest. She then noticed Raiden's unfamiliar features, his blue eyes, unlike the golden ones of the god of war. She studied his face, unable to comprehend what had transpired. Ferdinand's smile also puzzled her, as Ferdinand hadn't ever smiled. It seemed impossible for him to display any emotion. Reno introduced himself as the Archbishop of the Empire of Lucerne. He then introduced Aedes to Raiden, explaining that he was the emperor. And then Aedes was taken aback, her mind racing with the information she had just received. She couldn't believe that she was actually in the human world. And to make matters worse, this man resembled Ferdinand, the god of war, whom she knew all too well. Everyone had been eagerly awaiting her arrival, as it was foretold. Aedes was flabbergasted upon hearing this. She couldn't help but recall Ferdinand's words to give her another chance to regain her powers. And in that moment, Aedes was shocked to realize the extent of his actions. She was seething with anger. Aedes had lost many times, but she won't sit quietly and obey. Determined to seek revenge on Ferdinand when the opportunity arose, Aedes was then interrupted by Reno, asked her to introduce herself. The bishop looked at her expectantly, prompting Aedes to try and shout at Reno. However, she quickly realized that she couldn't utter any words, which only added to her frustration. Aedes' distress was evident, and Aedes understood that she needed to leave that place as soon as possible. She made a promise to herself that she would extract Ferdinand's heart. However, as soon as she entertained the thought, a sharp pain shot through her hand. The pain was excruciating, causing Aedes to tremble and let out a soft cry. Aedes examined her hand and noticed the seal, which reminded her of Ferdinand's warning. It became clear to her that Ferdinand didn't mind taking such a foolish risk. Although he had promised that if Aedes stayed in this place for a year, she would regain her power and have a chance to destroy him, it now seemed more like a form of intimidation. It dawned on her that the only thing standing between her and her long-awaited revenge was a year. A year she had to endure as best as she could. And then, she would finally end that man's life. However, upon noticing Aedes' suffering, the bishop asked her why she was in pain and what he could do to assist her. But before he could react, Raiden intervened and called for healers to aid the saint. In that moment, Aedes contemplated performing good deeds, knowing that it was the key to survival and avenging all the humiliations she had endured. So she told Raiden and Reno that she wanted to assist them. At that moment, the man sitting in a chair couldn't comprehend why they had brought him a woman before him when he wanted to meet the emperor in person. His assistants clarified that the emperor wanted to mock them and to not fall for these crazy people's obvious trap. However, upon hearing this, the disgusted Reno demanded some respect since they had the great honor of being in the presence of the saintess. Everyone should be grateful for such an opportunity. But the men didn't believe Reno's words and ended up laughing, thinking it was a funny joke. They didn't care much about the holy saintess. However, one of them explained to the bishop that if that woman was indeed the saintess, then he must be a demon king sent by the devil world. Aedes remembered Raiden's words. Raiden believed that educating such barbaric individuals was a good and just thing to do for the saintess. Such mockery was blasphemy, but due to the intense pain, Aedes fell to her knees, causing concern for the bishop. The man continued to mock Aedes, even though she could barely stand. Reno then explained to Aedes that they were going to leave as he wouldn't tolerate such a disrespectful attitude towards her, especially since she felt terrible. However, Reno turned around and noticed how furious Aedes was. She was furious that they dare to look down on her because she's a woman, which even in the realm of demons, everyone revered her greatness. She was certain that those pitiful people would repent. The men continued to laugh. She began to unleash her spell, but to her immense disappointment, nothing happened. The magic failed to manifest. Aedes couldn't comprehend why it was so. She desired to annihilate that wretched man, and it finally dawned on her, in her fury, that Ferdinand had chosen to seal her powers. This failure of the girl's spell only made the man laugh even harder. Aedes was seething with anger. The man approached and asked the bishop to confess that the saintess and her god, Ferdinand, were nothing but a fabrication. The clergy had once again chosen to deceive the common people, making them believe in false holiness and blindly following their lead. The man found it all nonsensical and had grown tired of these lies. However, something unexpected happened. The same man who had been rude and obscene suddenly knelt before Aedes, begging to know her name and confessing his love for her at first sight. Everyone present was shocked by this confession. Aedes felt offended and thought that something was definitely wrong with all of them, but then, Aedes looked at her body and realized that the pain she had been feeling had vanished. His companion anxiously looked at the man, trying to understand what had happened to him, and they tried reasoning with him, but he remained standing in his place, ignoring everyone, even the guards. The man kept repeating how beautiful the saintess was and couldn't take his eyes off Aedes. Suddenly, he fell to the ground, still wearing a smile. His worried friends picked him up and cradled his head, and tried to reason with him, explaining that they had come to provoke the empire and grab their weaknesses to get more hangs. The bishop became furious and immediately ordered his guards to take these heretics away. The guards swiftly approached to arrest the man and his henchmen. Just as they were about to apprehend them, something unexpected happened. Aedes began to emit a bright pink glow that even she couldn't control. Her divine powers seemed to fill him with a strange sensation. He could now only see her beauty and the world seem more beautiful. This incredible transformation stunned both Aidisa and the bishop, who attacked the girl, fell to his knees, and he pledged his loyalty and vowed to be her faithful follower for the rest of his life. However, his boss ordered him to keep quiet, as he was the one to pledge his allegiance first. The guy felt that they had definitely been enchanted, which convinced him that Aedes was a witch. He grabbed his dagger and headed straight towards Aedes. The bishop tried to protect her, but the guards on the side were discussing who should deal with him, as the man seemed pitiful and harmless. However, they decided to help and gently pushed him, causing him to fall to the ground. Despite his failed attempt on her life, he glared furiously at Aedes and blamed her for his mission's failure. Suddenly, the man found himself trapped in an unknown spell. Everything around him seemed to glow, and he confessed to her that she's beautiful. Aedes was upset by this revelation, begging for it to stop. The emperor stood in his study, reflecting on what had transpired. Reno explained that, thanks to the holy saintess, they successfully conquered the tribal Huron as colleagues. Aedes wasn't just an ordinary demon. She used to be the strongest demon in the underworld, with 2 horns and 3 pairs of black wings that showcased her immense power. These attributes clearly demonstrated Aedes' superiority over any other demon in hell. Everyone who witnessed Aedes in battle at least once, begged and swore their loyalty to her, longing to become her devoted subjects. However, those days were long gone now. Aedes spent her free time in the company of the bishop. Aedes showed interest in one of the paintings on the wall. Reno enthusiastically explained that it depicted the god of war, Ferdinand, with his followers being subjugated before him. Aedes was angered with what the bishop said. She doesn't know how Ferdinand did it, but it's the first time she felt hunger, so she'll ignore Reno's previous words. However, Aedes was more interested in Raiden than anything else. Raiden was engrossed in a book. He glanced at her, and revealed that the 3 men were promptly sent to prison. Surprisingly, they did not resist at all and willingly went to prison. Reno felt a great sense of awkwardness when recounting the words of these men. Raiden, on the other hand, found it hard to believe that the men had succumbed so easily to the saintess. Reno explained that there was no doubt about the unique gift possessed by the saintess. Merely looking at her for 3 seconds would fill people with an incredible sense of joy and love. Thinking they didn't hear, he repeated that she bestowed upon them the great power of love. He considered her to be truly miraculous. Reno, with a joyful expression, explained that he had previously studied the ancient records of the former archbishops. Probably one of them gave the power that name. The emperor pondered and stated the power to change others' emotions is similar to the power of the devils. Reno didn't appreciate the emperor's comment. Reno explained it's the power to make those who do not know what love is feel real love. Aedes felt angry for no reason. The more she listened to Reno speculating about the power, the more she realized how valuable she was. Despite feeling angry about her situation, she couldn't help but find it ironically impossible when she reflected on her past. Aeetes, who had once tried to destroy a god, was now forced to become a holy maiden. Suddenly, she felt a strange pressure on her hand and noticed her mark pulsating. She remembered the 3 men who had angered her. Moments later the pain subsided. Aeetes tried to understand what was happening and how to interpret it. Reno noticed her displeasure and inquired if there's something wrong with her wrist. However, Aeetes realized that neither the emperor nor the archbishop had noticed the mark on her arm. It wasn't important right now because she needed to come up with a strategy. But first, she wanted to explore her new power.